Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new session of the Level Up series. My name is Marianne Duba, and I am a mentor intern here at Global Citizenship Foundation, and I will be one of your hosts for the duration of the event. The Level Up series is here to support young professionals with skills and insights to thrive at the workplace. And our theme today is how to discover the power of solutions through creative thinking. And just a reminder, if you're looking to receive a
Okay, so just a reminder, if you're looking for a certificate, please attend via our streaming platform, AirMeet. You can go through the link gcf.social/events. You will directed for this event. So as part of the Level Up series today, we have our expert, Ms. Tantia, and a little bit about her that she is currently the Chief Operation Officer at Monash University, Indonesia. She has a rich background in operation, business development, and human resources, having served as COO of Zenius and held leadership role at top Indonesian unicorn like Alo Dokter and Traveloka. So I will greet her now. Miss Tantia, hello.
Hi, Nabila. Hello, everyone.
Hello, how are you, Miss Tantia?
I'm really good. I'm really well. I'm really excited, especially as today we are going to discuss about something that I'm really passionate about.
Yeah, I'm really excited also to get like the half all day insight from you. Okay, I will give the stage to you.
Sure. Thank you very much, Nabila. And good evening, everyone. Which actually is not only good evening because some is in the morning, some is in the afternoon. So I would just say good day, everyone. Today, we are going to discuss about something that is really interesting. We are going to discuss about solutions, problems, and creativity. How does all of this being interconnected with each other? Well, stay tuned because you're going to discover it really soon. And before a start of the presentation, I would like to do some housekeeping. And the housekeeping rule is that I want you, even though I cannot see directly who attend, but I would like you to be engaged and then thinking through about the questions later on to be raised after the session. And also, if you don't mind, I would like to ask you to bring a notebook and also a pen because throughout the session, I would like to share something and there will be some exercises or also some games. And it will be really helpful if you have your pen and also your workbook or paper to make it easier. So without further ado, let me share my screen. Okay, so I hope everyone can see my screen. Let me just share it. Title of the day, Discover the Power of Solutions Unleashed Through Creative Thinking. It seems like a very, like a very, very daunting topic because it's power of solutions and you want to unleash it. And there's another thing, creative thinking, like so many ideas at the same time. But it's okay. We are going to unlock them one by one. Before we go to deep diving into the presentation, I would like to introduce myself first. So I am Tantia. I would like to say that I am an ops enthusiast. At least for the last 8 years, I've been into the operations background, but I've been here and there, and I will share you where are the companies that I have been at and what are my roles, because some roles are really far away from what I'm doing now, but I think that's what makes it exciting because you don't know when you're going to have a surprise in life. You just need to take it. I'm a career coach. I'm also a single mother. And I would like to define myself as an enabler and evolver because that's the spirit that I would like to embody. Every time I go from one place to another place, what I'm seeking for is that my ability to be able to enable and also to evolve things. So and these are my work experiences. So I've been working in several places, starting in 2010 in Nielsen. And when I started my role in Nielsen, I was an HR person. And then People Search Indonesia is an executive search company, or it's basically a headhunter. So in my previous life, I hunt for heads in the case that I was a headhunter. And then at Touch Point, 2013, I was a salesperson. I go from door to door, literally, really door to door to offer the products, which was a media or a digital out of home media. And in 2014, I shift into a what it called now as a unicorn, Traveloka. And Traveloka at that time was a different size from now. I was employee number 70. And then my responsibility was managing the customer service. So, I mean, a very funny story. In the early days of Traveloka, when you're calling the customer service and then somebody will answer, welcome to Traveloka, how can I help you? And that was my voice. I should be able to get that recording because that's a really good memory. So Traveloka, I lead the customer operations team. The team started from only 20 people, and then it developed and also evolved, become 400 people when I graduated from Traveloka. So it was a really big team, and for somebody who was just 25 years old, leading a team of 400 was truly an experience. 2016, I moved to Alo Dokter. So for those who don't know, Alo Dokter is a health tech company. And a health tech company, what we envisioned is to democratize health for everyone. So the products range into many things. That's including chat with doctors and then insurance as well as booking hospital. 2020, I moved to Xenius, and Xenius is an edtech company. In Alo Dokter, I want to democratize healthcare, and Xenius, I want to democratize education. So during the rise of COVID, education platform or education-based technology-based education was really on the rise because students don't have any chances to study face-to-face. So it was a really great time there in Xenius. 2021 until now, I joined Monash Indonesia. And Monash Indonesia is the first foreign university in Indonesia. And it was a really great experience until now because I got to work with so many sets of problems and with amazing people. And those problems lead me into the ability, or at least I trained myself, how to think creatively. Because with being in all the startup companies and a startup university, I would say, even though Monash itself is a big brand, but in Indonesia, we are starting up, there are constraints. There are constraints of budget, there are constraints of time. You need to do things not now, but yesterday. And how all of this can be solved without the creativity thinking, it will not be possible. So let me share you further about that. Now, what are my portfolios in Monash Indonesia? It's spanned into many things. Marketing is one of them, and then enterprise and student experience, which basically ensuring that when student comes to Monash Indonesia, they have the best experience possible. GA and also office operations, HR, finance, as well as engagement. I often joke when people ask, like, what do you do in Monash? I say, like, literally and figuratively, I make sure that the roof doesn't fall above our head, because that's basically summarize the things that I did. So more about that experience in Monash, let me bring you to what we are going to discuss today. Today we are going to discuss about what is creative thinking. Because sometimes when we heard about creative, it's like, wow, creativity, I'm not an artist. I don't have creative thinking at all. So we are going to crack what creative thinking truly means. And then what are the barriers to creative thinking? Third, what are the techniques to unlock creativity and also innovation? And fourth, what is the context of creativity in leadership? Because my experience and my background is a organization or as a leader in an organization. So I would like to take you through as well how to bring creativity in the context of leadership and organization. So without further ado, let's start. I would like to know what comes to your mind when you hear creativity. So I bet like some people will think like, creativity, that doesn't sound like me at all, because creativity feels like, something for the artist, or something for the person who creates arts, a painter, or maybe a dancer. I am not creative at all, and why should I think about creativity? So what I would like to say is that creativity, it's a muscle. It's not about whether you're working in an art industry. It's not about being an artist itself. It's about unlocking the mind. And then, like any muscle, creativity can be trained. And the confidence to have the creativity to unlock things, to think beyond, is something that we can train together. And through this presentation today, we will train this muscle together. So, first thing first, to remember, creativity doesn't belong only to those who work in the art industry or as an artist. We are have the creativity. But the question is whether you would like to train that muscle or not. Now, before I go to misconceptions about creativity, I would like to share a bit of experience of why, when I say creativity, doesn't mean that only belongs to those who work as an artist. So this is a real case example. I was working in Traveloka. This is 2006, 2014, 2015. So life is really different from now, because right now everyone is so adept with online transaction. Most people start to have credit card, or you can also use online debit card. But 2014, the biggest payment chunk or payment options that being used by the customers was online transfer. So online transfer means that if you transfer for booking a flight ticket from Jakarta to Bali, for example, you need to pay an exact amount. It's not 500,000 rupiah, but it will be 499,998. Why we need that number is because we need to have a Unicode to match a transaction with a payment. So what happens during that time, 2014, 2015, more than 60% of the customer service issue was about the payment, because people could not understand why do they need to pay exactly on the right amount. So what happened is that they don't pay on the right amount, they transfer the payment, but what happened? The transactions was not successful. So they could not get their ticket. They lost their money, and they keep banging on the customer service asking, where is my ticket? So if we think in a non-creative solutions, the solutions will be, well, just add more customer service, because if there is more incoming telephone to our customer service, how to handle it is by having more customer service to answer. That seems like a simple solution, but it's not what the essence of creativity itself, because it also have a cost. The more you add your customer service, the more cost that you need to bear. So as a simple tweak is a big customer shift, and this is what differentiates a creative solutions and a non-creative solution. We work with the engineer to create what we call as a simple upload payment proof feature. So you transfer, you take the photo, you upload. Our customers operations team can see, oh, okay, Tantia already transferred 500K instead of 499. But it's okay, Tantia already transferred, tick, payment solved, and then flight is issued. So with this, a very, very, very simple tweak, it seems like, no-brainer, but it was actually really effective to reducing our complaints up to more than 50%. So that's an example of what differentiate between a creative solution and not creative solutions. But let's go further on that. A common misconception is what I thought you. Creativity is equal with being an artist. It is not. It is not. Because instead, we all have creativity and we all have untapped potentials. We need to believe in our ability to change the world around us and tap into our imagination. So there's so many words here, but basically the keywords is that creativity means tapping into our imagination, to change the world around us. And when we call about changing the world around us, it's not that by this instant I want you to be the president of the United States. No, but any intersections that we have with life, with human, with people around us, with environment around us, you have the power to really change the world, your world. So for example, like the Traveloka, I mean, it's not saving the world per se, but it changed the world of customer service. It changed the world of how product interact with the customer. It changed the world of efficiency, and that's creativity. And I believe that we all have that creativity, but the question is whether you want to tap on it or not, whether you are satisfied with not creative solutions or just like that, or whether you want to step further and then using your imaginations and sometimes maybe think in reverse. But let's see, what are the tricks? Another one that I would like to take an example is when I was in Xenius. So Xenius, again, it's a it's an edutech company. So education, when we talk about education, what comes in our mind? I mean, that high school days, we keep thinking like maths, for example, equal to the most difficult thing in the world. So that's what we keep saying to ourselves. Maths is difficult. Learning is not fun. Then with coming again from the creative muscle, what if we could make learning fun? What if math is actually not the most difficult thing in the world? Instead, it's the most fun thing to be able to tap on and to be able to learn. So that's just an example. And then what we do in Xenius is that we try to make a gamification. So there is a concept that Xenius, now I forgot how do we call ourselves. Basically, as Xenius people, we call it, in Indonesia, we call it CCA, cerdas, cerah asik. It's basically you are smart, you are illuminated, and you're also fun. So we embodied that principle to create some kind of games that actually when you are doing the games, you are learning mathematical foundation. And maths itself is not about remembering all the formulas or being able to calculate without a calculator, but it's actually to be able to understand the logic behind that. And by having a gamifications, it really become really easy to train the logic, because learning from something that is difficult to become learning is fun, and learning is extremely cool. So that's an example. Now, what are the barriers to creative thinking? So barriers for creative thinking, I see some questions here. There are some interesting questions, but let me get through that after I finish the presentation, if you don't mind. So there are barriers of creative thinking. First is that the belief that we are uncreative is the same when you say that I want to be able to run, but you say that I cannot run. And certainly you will not be able to run. The same thing, you want to be creative, but you believe that you are uncreative. You won't be creative at all. And second, we tend to leap out to answer too quickly. Like, for example, the issue about the customer service. Leap into the answers that, solution will be adding more customer service. It's not well thought, it's not deliberate, it's just making actions or decisions in haste. And that's usually become the barrier in creative thinking. And then third is believing that your innovation skills are set in stone. It's also something that often happens is that, I don't have any innovations to be made because I am just working on admin stuff. I am being told to do certain kind of process based on the SOPs. And that's also wrong, because SOP is provide as a guidance, but it's not a Bible. You can certainly tweak the way you're working without compromising the SOP, but make it even more efficient. And fourth, is often happen as well, is that we are afraid of failure. Because when we start to tap on our creative muscle, we start to think, how if we do it in this way instead of that way? And when you're taking that decision, I want to do this instead of that, means there is a risk of failure, obviously, because maybe if we are trying new things, how about if we fail? So that fear of failure will be a hindrance to be able to train your creative confidence. Now, after this, we are going to go for some exercise, because if not, I will just keep talking, but I want you to exercise as well. There are some techniques to unlock creativity. First one is start with a growth mindset. So it's often easy than is easier to be said than done, because it's really difficult to see like what actually growth mindset means. So how I would like to define growth mindset is that you don't think that what you're doing is the only way you do it. With a growth mindset, you will be able to accept some feedback. You will be able to accept suggestions, and you will be able to also receive a different way of doing. So start with a growth mindset, and then second, it seems like it's really easy to say, and also it seems like, you know, that makes so much more sense. Like, why do you even need to say it? Is to decide to be creative. Because also the same like being able to run, when you decide I want to be able to run, then you will be able to find solutions to be able to run. And that's also being creative, when you decide that you want to be creative and you want to find a creative solutions. That's already the starting point. And then third is that seek for inspirations that will spark creative thinking. So this is also oftenly happened because we are so set in what we are doing. We are so set in the way we are doing, and we don't see if there is any other better way to do it. We don't spark our imaginations. We don't spark our inspirations. And then we're just doing the thing at the same way, and there's nothing different of how we do it. So seek for inspirations, and inspirations can come from anywhere. From where? I mean, just for example, when I was doing the implementations for some parts and education, for example, inspiration did not come from, to be honest, it did not come from school, but it comes from playing games, because then we can marry. You can marry learning with games. And that's also an example. When I was in Allo Doctor, a health tech platform, I create what it's called as booking for hospital. And the inspirations did not come from other health tech companies or other health tech app, because it was not existed. But the inspirations come from online travel. Oh, if in online travel you can book a hotel, why can't you book a hospital? So there's an example of when you are opening your mind, the inspiration will not only come from the industry itself, but it can come from many places. So another one that will be an example is this one, Allo Doctor. So coming again from inspirations and also unlocking issues. When we talk about insurance, what comes to our mind? Insurance is expensive. It's not affordable. It's only for the rich. Or insurance is only for companies who can pay. But what if for those who are not working? What if the company not even covering? What is the solutions? Because health insurance is definitely a need for everyone. So then we come with a creative solution saying, what if insurance can be affordable? What if insurance can be cheap? So that's what we do. And Allo Doctor, we create a very cheap insurance with a cost of less than 10 US dollar per month, that the coverage go up to $10,000 a year. And how it's possible? It is possible because there are some calculations behind and there are some ways of unlocking different parts of the insurance industry, and it works. So when you start with, making a connections among things that doesn't seem plausible, that's where you start unlocking your creative solution. So now let's get into some creative juices flowing. Now I would like to have your pen and paper ready. Okay, I'm going to start timing. So within the next 5 minutes, I would like you to do a name association exercise. That is, the more it is out of the box, the more that is seems not possible and seems not logical, the better it gets. To generate ideas within healthcare industry. So I'm not looking for an idea in education or idea in other industry. This is specific in healthcare industry. So just an example, this is what I told you before, cheap insurance. So you associate insurance with another word, cheap. Booking hospital, you associate booking and yes with hospital. So I want you to explore as many words or name associations as possible within the next 3 minutes, because creativity needs to be constrained as well. The longer you get, the less creative you are. So I will give you 3 minutes. So let's start the 3 minutes now. And after 3 minutes, I would like you to typing on the chat so that I can know your answer. 3 minutes start now. Okay, 3 minutes start now. Starts to do the name association exercise. Associate things that is unexpected for healthcare. And while you're doing your exercise, let me get my drink. Okay, I see some ideas flowing. It's really good. Go bold, go crazy, Sweden health industry. Okay, I see some words already. More creative juices flowing. It's more exciting. Okay, interesting. I see some. Okay, awesome. The words are getting more and more creative. I like that. Okay, so, I like that one. Ageless lotion. Like, why do you want to reverse aging if you can do ageless lotion? I would want that too. Okay, very great and amazing. 1 minute left. Okay, 30 seconds more. Keep the ideas flowing. Okay, baby school. No, reminds me of baby sharks, but why not? Yes. Okay, 3 minutes is up. Now I have some extremely amazing words here. Now I like this. Translator healthcare, hospital tourism, pillbox, environmentally friendly medical disposal, like medical waste it's one of the biggest issues as well. I mean, they will contribute to a lot of waste and landfill. So if you can make it environmental friendly, why not? Drink and shrink, okay. DoorDash for medicines and limbs growing. So that's for those who wants to have a more a taller figure. You can have the limbs growing as well. So now I would like you to see. Do you see why I'm asking you to do this exercise? So having a name associations, and I think all of the ideas are amazing. And I think like if you are working in healthcare, you can definitely explore all of these ideas and present to them. And it's actually something that we can actually do. I mean, for example, the pill box. I mean, I'm thinking like drinking pills are extremely not fun, but if you can make it more fun and make it something that looks like a what is it called, vending machine to get medicine, and then that's also functioning as a pill box, that's really good. And also free water and food for patients. You'll be surprised, in one of the hospital that I stayed, the free food and water were not only delivered by human, but it was delivered by robots. So it gives like, wow, because hospital experience is really crazy. But same like education. If you can make education fun, why don't you make healthcare less um, less scary and more fun? Oh, that's all really good ideas. And this is something that I would like you to take on when you're exploring things in your own industry or things that you're working on, all the projects that you're working on. Start with what if, and then starts with name association. So instead of thinking, I'm just going to do things like as it is, maybe I should associate some words with the other words and come with another creative solutions. So well done, people. Let's get through again to some of the materials of, we are talking about creativity. We are talking about the creative muscle. We need to also talk about solutions. So when it comes to creativity, it feels like, oh, I can get any ideas up in the air. But we are all here not only to bring ideas for the sake of bringing ideas, but we are here to bring ideas to solve issues or to find solutions. Now, you already trained a bit your creative confidence and creative muscle. How to harness that creativity of yours when you are faced with adversity, when you are faced with issues. So let's go through that one by one. Now, excuse me. The first one is what I call as reframed question. So this is often happened that when we are so deep into an issue, we keep thinking like, you know, how to do this. It's like we are keep muddling in the same thing. But if you ask the question in a different way, you might find a different type of solutions. I mean, for example, um, when we talk about health insurance, um, the questions usually comes when we are trying to solve health issues in the society. It's always about how people can be offered with more insurance product, becoming more, you know, make it the product become more complex, because for every age group there will be a different type of product and there will be different type of premium. And it actually seeing from a different perspective, because it's basically how you can make the product more complex so that it covers every risk group. But if you see from a different way and reframe the question, how we can actually make more people get more insurance, then when you've reframed the question, you will come up with different solutions. So sometimes what you need to do is you step back and then step back from the obvious answer, alter your point of view, and then redefine the problems in new ways to seek out solutions, and keep asking with why and what if. And what if is my favorite question to ask, because usually we are so set in the way we're thinking, but when you start to think in the saying what if, then you can actually come with even crazier ideas. Now, the second one, this is might be like counterintuitive, like you have a problem, we need to solve it. But the more you are stressed, the more you're actually unable to find the solution. So what I'm saying is that when it becomes too much in your mind, you need to getting into relaxed situations, because the more you feel like you are crunched, the more the creativity juices are stop flowing out. So even a simple walk in the park, or even walking from your seats to the toilet, um, is actually really helpful when we are stuck with a problem. And I think like creativity, the more you're trying to make it more stressful, the more you force to come, the more you're unable to get the solution. And third is why I put 3 minutes, for example. It's actually when you are putting a constraint, you can create more solutions to your problems. So just an example, what we could do in a week with shoestring budget. So if the question is that, what can we do? I mean, let's say your boss said like, I want a new product for a new market. And then you just say, what can we do? And people like, we can try this and we can try that. But nobody actually come in with the solutions. But when you reframe it in a different way, saying, what can we do within 1 week time, within a certain X number of budget, then you will starting to be focused. If the budget is that number, now I know I can come with this idea, I can come with that idea. So when you put a specific constraint, not too constricting, but some constraint, it actually help you to define the problems and to unlock the power of solutions. So these three things is all the things that I keep doing: reframing the questions, getting to relaxed situations, and put a constraint. And what is actually relaxed situation? So this is something that I do when I say that I being creative, but I'm not about me pushing you to be a painter, but I do love painting and I do love archery. And while I'm doing painting and also archery, and it's not about creating a beautiful picture or hitting the bullseye, but for me, it's that being in that relaxed mind. Because when I'm doing painting, the only thing that I'm focusing on is not scrolling through Instagram, is actually just be with myself and my painting within a set of time. And it's actually relaxing. And the same with archery. Is not about hitting the bullseye, but it's basically being in that moment, embracing that moment, and enjoying every pull of your bow, and just be there. Usually, after I do painting or after I do archery, I will start to come with ideas and to see things from different ways. So, something that you might want to note down is that find that thing that that something that you will do when you are stuck. And I would not advise to mindlessly scroll through Instagram or binge watching Bridgerton on Netflix, because those things is usually more into a distracted mind instead of making you come with a relaxed mind. So let's try to find what the things that you're doing when you're stuck. Now, I would like to go from creativity, problem solutions, to innovation, because the next step is that you understand how to harness your creativity, you understand how to make your creativity as a way to solve the problems. Now, how you could harness that, bring it step forward to create innovation. I explained to you about, for example, innovations in health insurance, innovations in the education industry. Now I want you to think, what would you do to make innovations in anything that you do? From business, from a corporate perspective or from product perspective, there are three items. The first one is what I call as people. So people is about understanding whether there is a need or not. Sometimes when we come with bunch of ideas, but we never seek from the perspective of the customer, is this something that actually solving their issue? Is it something that is desirable by them? Can it actually make their life easier? So first, people. And then second is business wise. Is it business wise viable or not? So basically, are you creating the product for the sake of creating a product or a solution without a viable business case? And third, whether it's technically visible. Uh, and this has often happened that, I want to create this and this. There are so many things that I want to create. I don't know where to even start. And that's also another thing. Is it something that you can actually build or not? So by having these three things and empathize with the human needs, and you will be able to create or shape the innovation from what I call the human perspective. Now, this is an example that I would like to take from Monash. So this is what a Monash classes look like. If you can guess which one I am, that will be really great. You can see from the hair. So when we talk about Monash as a university, and then it's really not about it's not about the facilities or it's about the ranking, but it's also understanding what is the DNA that make the classes different. Because the magic of studying in a university or any education institutions, the magic actually happens in the class. So by understanding that, what are the components that make that magic happens? I mean, if you see here, for example, from human interactions, people, is it desirable or not? What people want, or on this side is students. What do the students want? Students want epiphany. Students want to be opened to a new height of intelligence or a knowledge. So it means that every time we conduct a class, it has to be thought-provoking. And then from a technical perspective, is it feasible to create that or not? And it's feasible because components, for example, it has to be a very interesting and engaging topic. And for example, from this class, it was a guest lecture coming from the Ministry of Education, and it's relevant to them. And of course, because at the end of the day, it is still a business. Is it a business? Is it viable from business perspective to make this magic happens? And it is true. So all the components create to innovating what we call as Monash DNA. And that Monash DNA is something that we brought often and from classes to classes. So every time someone come to our class, they have that magic. Because again, what I said, the magic happens in the class. So now, it goes directly to challenge 3, but it's okay. Maybe that's where the creativity is. I missed number 2. I go directly to number 3. Now I would like you to also do the exercise. Another 3 minutes. So I would like you to imagine when you commute every day. Now, commute can be you go to school, you can go to work, you can go to your kids' school. Now I want you to see what patterns that you see and how can you make your commute, other people commute better. Now, before we start, I would like to take you to an example. So every time I go to the office every day, in Indonesia, we use a toll road, yeah? And in a toll gate, there will be a tapping machine for tapping a contactless card to basically pay for that toll road. So this is Indonesia, not Singapore. So it's still not yet ERP. You still need to tap it physically. So one day, I was lining up in this toll road gate, and I was wondering, the traffic is not this long. So first day, I see it's long, Like I usually go through it in like less than 1 minute. I go through the toll gate, but this time it takes almost 15 minutes just to line up in front of toll gate. Second day, 15 minutes. Fourth day, it becomes worse. It's become half an hour. Say like, wow, this is crazy. Is it like suddenly more people go to the office? And you should know that human pattern is actually predictable. It will not be something changed. It will not be suddenly people going to the office at the same time, just like that. And then I realized the issue between that week versus the previous week is not because of more cars. It's because of the tapping machine itself. The tapping machine was not sensitive. So if previously you can do and then you directly go, that time I realized that everyone needs to do multiple times, and even I need to do it also. And that's what caused people to be maybe usually just take 10 seconds. Now one car can take 1 minute. Obviously, if you have 100 cars, you get 100 minutes. So that's just an example of how you can improve the commute is basically by changing that tapping machine to become something more sensitive or changing the card reader itself. So now, using that example, I would like you to imagine your commute every day. Now imagine how you can make that experience better. So the same like exercise number 1, feel free to put on your chat. I will give you 3 minutes as well. Start now. Okay, now go again. Observe your commute. Just remember that if you barely commute more than once a month, it's okay. Imagine that commute once a month. What experience that you remember? Is it painful? Is it fun? You got stuck in traffic. You got stuck in a crazy bus ride. Anything that you think is a problem, you can find a solution. Okay, 1 minute, 2 minutes to go. Wow, that one is really creative of putting 100 phones to put in the car, because I realized that as well. It's not about the number of actual cars, it's the number of people opening Google Maps. Okay, carpooling to reduce the amount of cars on the road, that's good. For Glory, you walk to work daily, that's a joy, and that's really something, what we call is, it's something precious, yeah, it's something not often happen in Indonesia. And I would like to mention, when you're walking to work every day, what do you see? How you can improve that experience? Okay, prepaid or free communal bicycle. Okay, minibuses that can fly, amazing. Because I heard that some devices have been tested about how to use like a mini chopper, individual chopper, where people can actually fly by their own. So it's like Back to the Future. Okay. Oh, that's really nice. How to see paintings on walkway. Maybe the idea then how to make street painting exhibition. You don't need to go to a gallery to do street exhibition. You can do street painting exhibition. Okay. Okay, sure. So 3 minutes is up. I see amazing ideas there. And this is what also, what I could say, something to train your creative muscle, because it's when you start to think of things that might be something that you take for granted because you do it every day, like as simple as commute, still you can find a solution to solve it. And when you're training yourself to critically think, oh, there might be a different way, there might be a better way, then you are training your creative confidence, and you're also training the power of creativity to find solutions. So, all amazing answer, and I hope you also find the reason why I want you to do this exercise, because I want you to also see that when you see about creativity, it doesn't mean that you need to face something extremely big or you need to be a lead of a project to think creatively. But any simple thing that you do every day, there is a source of training your creativity. Now, let's go further to the next slide. I would like you to think about what it's called as design thinking. So, design thinking is a term that is really often used, usually when we are talking about creating a product, because I came from a startup background, tech startup background, and we are used to do creating a new app or creating the features, and the process we are doing it with what we call as design thinking. So let me take you to the next slide. But basically, design thinking is a way of finding human needs and creating new solutions using the tools and mindsets of the design practitioners. So sometimes we find solutions by using as what I call as an operation mindset. It's like if you have this issue, add more people. If you have that issue, fix the tools. But with the design practitioners, you are thinking about how to create an amazingly new experience and how to be really empathetic with human needs. And sometimes when you have a problem that you can't analyze easily, design thinking may help you to move forward using empathy and prototyping. And it looks like a jumble of words, but let me show you what does a design thinking process look like. So suppose that, for example, you have an issue of what I said, you want to create a cheap insurance or affordable insurance to everyone. So the process is that it's not directly that I come with a 90, less than $1, basically $9, 9.9 US dollars. It doesn't come magically like that. So the process is actually start from empathizing with the needs, empathizing with the human, empathizing with whom? For us, it's empathizing with our own users who are Indonesian people, and knowing that, for example, what income level they are coming from, and then what are their issues of funding their healthcare. So you empathize with their issues, and then next one you define the problems. So the solution, define the problem is that how to make insurance becoming more affordable to everyone, and then ideating with that, because there are so many ideas that can be possible. I mean, maybe it's not $9. Why not $15? Why not $20? What is exactly the sweet spot that is possible for our customers? And then the fourth is prototyping. So prototyping is basically launching something without actually launching it in a big scale, because we know when we are doing something, we are and doing in a big scale, it will create a lot of issues. Sorry, it will take a lot of resources and it will take time. But we can actually prototype it, and that's why in products you are might be used to what we call as beta version. It's basically not yet the complete version, but it already describes how will the final on the end point or the end experience look like. So this is interesting. When we are doing the final round about testing, before we launch the product itself, we actually create what I called as a mock Facebook campaign by saying, "Ala dokter now selling $9 insurance for a coverage of $10,000 a year." And then, so that's assets A. And then assets B said $15 insurance for for a coverage of 15,000 USD per year. And then I'll compare between both of them, which one that actually creates or result into better conversion rate. So that's how we prototype and then how we test it. And by the time we actually come with a understanding, oh, apparently that the $9 has a better conversion rate, then we know that the test works, and that's become the final product that we launch. But imagine that you don't know what actually works with the customer and you're not testing it. How would you know what the end result will be? The risks become enormous. So by having a prototype and testing it, and then after that you iterate again. Iterates means you perfecting it again, then you can then come with the final product. So that's how the design thinking process look like. Now, I would like you to do an exercise. So the exercise is called reverse it. So I'm not asking you to create a product. I want you to dissect a product. So imagine a product or an app. Let's just say it an app that you use every day and that you consider as a well-designed product or service. So spend another 3 minutes to consider what the problems that designers or the product creator or the app owner or the app founder attempting to solve. I mean, I just give you the example for our doctor. The problems that we want to solve is to make healthcare to become um, um, accessible by anyone. Now, for the next 3 minutes, I would like you to do that exercise. Choose a product or an app, and then type it on the chat what the app name is, and then type it also what problems that you think the designer is attempting to solve. Okay, let's start 3 minutes from now. Choose an app, open your phone, and then start to see what is in your phone that you often use. Maybe Instagram, maybe Netflix, or maybe something like online travel, maybe Uber taxi. Just open it and choose anything. There's no right or wrong. And then type it in the chat box. What do you think the problems that the designers were attempting to solve? Okay, I see this. TikTok. The designers want to make sure that the content is tailor-made. Yes. Okay. And I think it's also the designers want to solve the issues that people have very limited attention span. That's why TikTok video is really fast. You capture the attention, you get the message across. Very well. Okay, amazing. Yango for commute, Duolingo as well. Yes. LinkedIn. By the way, if you haven't had your LinkedIn profile, you must. And it's exactly true. It connects professionals with professionals. When I was a headhunter, LinkedIn was a really powerful tool. It connects with professionals that helps me to get my, what is it called? My recruitment process so much easier. Sorry. Oh, 1 minute left. More constraint, more creativity unlock. I see here more app, OPay, financial app, really great. Indonesia, we also have GoPay and OVO Pay, also really helpful. And then Google One, it helps to get all Google application together. Oh, amazing. And I know more app now by seeing your answers, because the apps that I open usually are the apps in Indonesia. There are actually a lot of apps that is interesting there. Okay, and GoFood app, Nabila, GoFood. I also love it so much. So GoFood is like Uber food, yeah. And then and Substack. Oh, okay, sure, that's good. I'll give you another 30 seconds because I really like all the answers there. Okay, Uber. You know that Uber really changed the world. I mean, it really changed the face of ride hailing, and it inspired a lot of companies that have almost a similar model, and it really solved a lot of issues through. And oh, I like that calculator. So now you understand why I have this exercise, is because sometimes we are so used to having all these apps on the palm of our hands, but we might not thinking actually what are the problems that the designer is trying to solve. And by tapping to the mind of the designer, it's actually training your flexibility, your understanding, your sensitivity to also understand how does a product being designed, and then when product is being designed in a certain way, what problems that the designer are trying to solve. So good job. You're all on the way to become an extremely good product designers. Now, I would like to go to the next topic, the Pandora box, facing the fear of failure. It's the same, like I would like to go to the example. It's the same when I started to paint. I think I started to paint in 2020 in the midst of COVID, because the same like everyone, like what are you going to do at home? So I was trying a new hobby, and then I tried with painting, and then watercolor painting. I never learned it in a professional way, or going to school or something like that. I just learned it from videos on Instagram. But videos on Instagram and YouTube, albeit they're a lot, but they can be really daunting, because all of those artists, oh my God, they are so good. And it makes you like I want to start trying to paint, but I would never be able to paint that good. Or look at this painting, it looks like the kids play. So the more you're afraid to test and to, starting to paint, you have that fear of failure. But after that, I start to understand that it's not about creating a perfect image, because there's no such thing as perfect. Painting a perfect image is basically, what do you think looks good for you, and what do you think feels good for you when you create that. So what I call as the failure paradox. If you want to have more success, you have to be prepared to shrug off more failure. So it basically saying that if you want to be more perfecting, for example, your painting skills, then you need to create more bad paintings. And if you want to be able to solve issues, then you need to be training yourself to solve more issues and be prepared, even though you might actually come to the face of failure, because it will not be your painting directly become like Picasso. Not that I want you to become a Picasso, but facing it and accepting that it might become a failed painting, then it's okay. So now, question is not for an exercise, but for you to reflect. When was the last time you tried something new? And when was the last time you just enjoy doing it because you genuinely enjoy doing it, and not because you are afraid that somebody will poking and will try to examine or to evaluate, but you're just simply having the joy of creating or trying something new. So if you haven't been doing that for a while, try that, because who knows, you might be going to unlock something that you don't expect. So in that sense, the next one that I also say is that choose creativity, and it might also be counterintuitive, but how do you choose creativity? You can choose creativity, and you have the power to choose creativity. The first one, as I said before, redefine the problems, how to see a new ways of seeing a problems and to seek out solutions. And then the next one is to continue to grow intellectually. So this has often happened that when we thought that learning only happens when you are in school, and then when you're graduating from school, then you're hindering yourself from learning more. But by adapting yourself and exposing yourself to new knowledge, you are challenging yourself to continuously grow your intellectuality. So don't let your skills or knowledge stagnate. Learn something different, learn something new, critically learn, not only reading it, but also you critically learn and reflecting. You are going to grow yourself intellectually. And then the next one is tolerate ambiguity. So when you're trying something new and when you are choosing something on a creative way, there will be that sense of ambiguity because you don't know what the result will be. You don't know whether it's going to be successful or whether it's going to fail. But when you tolerate that, and when you accept that you will not know the end result directly, and being more comfortable with that, and certainly you are on the right path. So the more you don't know, it doesn't mean that you become less confident, but the more you don't know, it means that there are the more things that you need to know, and it's something that is exciting. And then, as I said before, find inspirations in different places, look in different cultures, organizations, seek how to cross-pollinate. If you are solving an issue in one industry, doesn't mean that the solution stay in that one industry. It can also come from cross-industry. And just by the exercise that we did today, is an example that how different apps can work differently in different countries, and that can also become solutions of inspirations of how you implement that back to your country. Now, final one is that stop planning and start acting. This is also often happen that we are afraid. If we are trying this, then I would never be able to launch this, because to launch this, I need to have a perfect planning. I need to have a list of clients. I need to have this deck. I need to be extremely, extremely perfect. And perfection, my dear, is the enemy of creativity. Because the more you want to create something perfect by hindering yourself to actually doing it, the more you're not going to do it. So embrace that level of experimentation. Don't get stuck in planning stage. Don't be too long in planning stage. Innovation is about quickly turning ideas into actions. When you make the action and then you're doing it, then you iterate. Iterate means you improve from that. That's there where the innovation cycle start and continuously go on and on. So stop planning and start acting. And last, before we do our final case study, I would like you to see how to build a team. So whether you are already a leader in your organization or you are seeking to be a leader in organization, if you want your team to innovate continuously, you need to build their creative confidence. So it's not enough to only having you yourself having the creative confidence, but you need to imbue, you need to instill, you need to grow that creative confidence in your team. And how to do it? First is that keeping your sense of humor. The more you are stringent with your team, the more they are reluctant to innovate, because people will be so afraid to even come up with any solution. So keep your sense of humor, build on the energy of others. So make them be energized to create innovations and to build on their creative confidence. And then minimize hierarchy. This is often become the issues of innovations when we said, to make that idea happen, you need to go to department A to go to a person B, and so on. And all this hierarchy will make you unable to move in a fast, rapid moments. So this is what I like when I'm working in startup, and what I keep as well in Monash, even though it's not a startup per se, it's a university, is by minimizing hierarchy. Everyone can tap on everyone. Everyone can tap on the shoulders of everyone, no matter the stage or level in organization, and say, I want to implement this. I want to explore this. And by having that less hierarchy, you create a more motivation for people to actually come with ideas and innovation. And then value team camaraderie. So it means that nobody feeling they are threatened when they are creating something new. And then the last one is that defer judgment. It's basically sometimes when somebody comes to you, imagine somebody comes to you or you come to somebody, and then you are excitedly saying like, oh, I want to create these ideas. And then the person that you're talking to only say like, ah, that's a bad idea. That's already being tried. That certainly will fail. That's all what I call as unconstructive judgment. And having more judgment like this will just kill the creative confidence in your team. So defer judgment, at least temporarily, and make your team come out with different solutions and make your team being more and more confident to show the solutions and the creativity from their side. So, before we close the presentation, I would like you to do some reflection. And this is the favorite part that I do every time I learn about something new, is that I want to see what I learned today, how does it impact into what I'm doing. So because some learning something, it's not helpful to just learn itself, but you need to be able to reflect. So within the next 5 minutes, I would like you to think about a problem that you are facing at the moment. And then based on the presentations from me within the last 1 hour and our discussions today, I would like to know, how do you move forward with the problems? How are you going to find the solutions? What are the things that you are going to do differently? So think about that, reflect on that, and I would like to know the answer in the chat box for the next 5 minutes. Okay, let's see solutions from each and every one of you, and I would like to know, how do you do things differently? Okay, I like the answer. Okay, to take a little time off, find inspiration from different places. Might be that you're stuck into the loop of finding the inspirations only at the same place on and on and on again. Okay, have the mindset I can do it, and also have the mindset of the growth mindset, that even though you don't know it now, but doesn't mean that you will keep not knowing. Okay, more answers, please. Okay, I like that as well. Amazing. Okay, reflect more when you say that you want to seek inspirations. Where do you want to seek inspirations from? Because it really can come from anywhere. But again, having a constraint would be really helpful to know where exactly that you want to do or find the solutions and then be deliberate in finding that solution. Just do it. And then if you think that you're not happy with the result, then you try to improve again. But you never know whether it's going to be successful or not until you launch it. That's true. Hey, I like that. Public speaking, I just have to speak more. You'll be surprised. I started emceeing when I was 16. It's what, many years ago. I'm not 16 anymore. And that's how I gained the whether I'm saying I'm not saying I'm good already, but I'm saying that I feel comfortable enough to speak on the stage, and because I try to do it. I like that. Being more empathetic as a designer, seek this to find the solution from the people that you are trying to solve the issues. Always start with the human because you're solving for human. So treat your customers as the human. 1 minute more. I would like to see more answer of how you reflect from today. Okay, I see here interesting answers of I'm always a learner. That's true. Once you think that you're already a maestro, you will stop learning, and that's not good. And then taking actions, be carefree, but also careful. Oh, sorry, be careful and careful. I like that. Free it yourself. Don't be burdened into a certain set of boxes. And then keep smiling like the speaker. Well, I don't always smile, but because today is an amazing crowd, like there's no reason for me not to smile. Okay, 5 minutes is up. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. So that's basically the end of my presentation today. After this, I would open for questions and answer. But before going to that, believe in yourself that all of us has the creativity, and creativity is not something that belongs to certain people only, but it's in every and each one of us. And harness that creative confidence. Find a way to solve the issues by using your creative confidence, and then innovate, iterate, and innovate again. And I believe in you, and you should also believe in you. So thank you very much. This is my LinkedIn, Instagram, and email address. Looking forward to connect with each and every one of you. Now I would like to open for question and answer. So I would need some help from the technical support. If anyone's raised your hand on the backstage, I can certainly share the slides with you, of course. We'll give it to the committee, and then the committee then can share to everyone. I think that's the best way, right? So, okay. So there's a question. Okay. Are we going to put a hands up, or are we going to ask the question directly? Let me just unend. Okay. Oh, can raise your hand and we can put you on the stage. Okay. Okay. Nabila, you're helping me to join me on the stage. Thank you very much. And everyone, this is my first time using Airmeet. So I'm like, oh, but that's about embracing things, right? Embracing new things, even though this is not the platform that you're used to, but doesn't mean that you cannot enjoy it. So Nabila, would you help me to find people who are already raising their hand on the backstage so we can get the question answer?
Okay, so first of all, I'm gonna thank you first for Miss Nantia for the insightful session. It was really great. And the thing that we all of us have creativity, so don't even think that we can't do anything. Like just stop planning and start doing.
Mm.
Yes. Okay. And before we start the asking question, I want to make sure that we all on the same page. This is a chance for us to talk and ask question. And so please feel free to join. If you want to join, you can raise your hand and we will help you to get on the stage. And I think we also have a few questions in the
Chat, yeah?
Q&A section.
Yeah.
Yes, the support will help you with that.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Okay,
So, Nabila, do we
so
want
here's
to
the
directly
first
go
question.
to this question? I I I answer
Yes,
directly the question, right? Okay, sure.
yes, you can
So,
answer it.
okay, so ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for asking the question. I'll start with Salar Ahmed. I also note something from the chat that will be answered by me next. Using creativity requires brain power. How to break free from laziness and reach the potentials of full creativity. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is something that is how to say with the rays of information access on the palm of our hand. Usually, what we do instead of training the creativity muscle, we are actually hacking or limiting our own creativity muscle by doing something that took out all our brain power, but not really resulting into something that's positive. So I'm just using an example of Instagram scrolling. And not that saying that people should not use Instagram. I'm an avid Instagram user as well. Not saying that I have good photos or I have extensive followers, but I really like to see pictures on Instagram. But when you see that might be what you think a scroll of 5 minutes, and then it becomes 10 minutes, it becomes 1 hour, and suddenly it's already 4 a.m. in the morning. And this is actually what suck your creativity and what suck your brain power, because all of your attention it it diverted into that, and it creates endorphin, but it doesn't really bring a positive mindset in you, because for me at least, every time I scroll Instagram after that, I just feel badly, because I start to come from the perspective of comparing this and comparing that, or that looks good, and so on. So, how to break from laziness and reach a full potential of creativity for me is to set a schedule. Um, it can be different for everyone, but for me, what works is that I set a schedule in the morning dedicated to myself. So, um, what I do every morning when I wake up, and I wake up earlier than the rest of the home, because once everyone in the home start to wake up, I feel like, there's no time for myself. So what I do is that I wake up at 4:30 in the morning, and then I start to do journaling, and then after journaling I will do meditating, and then I will do a simple workout for 15 minutes to half an hour. So it's basically by having that chunk of time that you committed, that you dedicated to that, it helps you to be only focusing on one thing, or basically to be mindful. So everyone will have a different way, but what works for me is that having a dedicated chunk of time to do something that you need to do. So coming back again to the principle of putting a constraint, by putting a constraint into something, you're actually forcing yourself to, okay, this is the time for me to come up with solutions. This is the time for me to put my phone away and stop scrolling on Instagram, and instead coming with ideas for the solution, or coming with solutions that you want to find to solve your problem. So breaking up from laziness, it's, for me, what works is just putting the same schedule, because once the body moves into a same rhythm, it is easier, because my body clock becomes the same. I will wake up at 4:30 and I will be sleepy at 9 p.m. So by having that, it's easier because you don't need to think again. You just follow the same routine. Okay. So thank you very much for the question. I want to answer one question before I go to that. Oh, okay. Nabila, if you don't mind, I want to answer a question from the chat. It comes from Stanley, and then the question is, what's the place of philosophy in creative thinking? So I like the questions when it comes to philosophy. It's like, you really go deep. And I think if we thought further again, um, it's not always about it's not actually about the ideas or the product itself. It's about creating the thought. And where does the thought come from? So the thought comes from what I call as the genesis of thought. And what is genesis of thought? And what I realize is actually not using more of your brain power or your mind, but it's actually to tap on to your soul even more. So I know that seems like a answer from out of the world, but what I feel for myself is that the more that my soul is relaxed and the more I am honest and bearing my soul, and the more I have the power to be creative on finding solutions. So the philosophy, it's basically is not only to forcing your mind, but to be really in deep conversations with your soul, to bear and to be honest, and to be connected with your intuition more and more. That's why for me, what exercise that helps me is that I do journaling and I do meditation, because by doing so, I know that it trains me to be comfortable with myself and comfortable to converse with with the inside of me, and with that I can come with more creative thought. So might be comes from because you asked about where's the philosophical place, that would be my answer. So thank you very much for that question. Nabila, bring more questions, please. Yes.
Okay, so we have another question in the Q&A section. This one.
Yeah. How does one deal with resistance to creative ideas, especially from stakeholders who prefer traditional methods? My dear ladies and gentlemen, this is what happens, of course, for every movement and every drive of forward force. There will always be a resistance, and this is the law of nature. Like for every force, there will be an opposite force that becomes, what is it called, blocking. Yeah. And so the first one is to accept the situation, because again, as I said, it's a law of nature. Every time you move forward, there will always be resistance. But if you come again from the philosophy, the resistance is actually not to block you, but it actually to shape you. Because the more there is a resistance, just like every products in this world, just like a diamond, like how diamond can actually be really beautiful because it faces resistance from other items outside diamonds itself, and then it becomes beautiful and it shines beautifully. So first, accept that, and second, it's actually to think again from the perspective of the stakeholders. So there is one principle that I do, what I call is give people what they need so you get what you want. Everyone will have their own needs. And by understanding more and by being really intuitive about what people need, you can tap on their needs and shape the offerings that you have so that it match to get that to what you want. So just an example, what do people need? People need to have a stability. And the more there is a change, of course, more people are resistant because it inflict it conflicting with their own comfort zone. So now, when you are institutionalizing a change, then you need to make the process as seamless as possible for people to do so that they don't feel like there's a huge burden. Instead, you need to communicate in a way that it uplifts their burden. So the more you are emphasizing that this is me creating the idea, it's extremely great because I am the maestro, and not coming from the perspective of the human that you assist and not empathizing with their needs, then the more resistance that you will not be able to solve. So understand what people need so you will get what you want. Okay, Nabila, bring more questions, please.
Okay, so
Oh,
actually we have
Pamela is on
someone
stage.
raising their
Sure.
hands. Pamela, yes.
Yeah.
Pamela, you can start asking the question.
Okay. Um, Pamela, you're welcome to shoot your questions directly.
Hello, Pamela. Are you there? Okay, I think we can go to another question that
It's okay. We
by
can come back to Pamela.
Kelechi, maybe.
Yeah, sure,
Yeah,
sure,
we can
sure.
go back to Pamela later.
Yes. What is the question, Nabila?
So the question is, at what stage does creativity dabble into unrealistic innovation? In other words, if you want to be creative and do things in another way in the workplace, at what point do we put a break in order to encroach into already set work pattern?
Mm, so, at what stage does creativity dabble into unrealistic innovation? So, this question is actually so hard and it has like so many levels and layers. But let me break it down based on what I understand and also based on my experience and also based on one of the framework that I already presented before. That there are three framework. As first is that whether it is addressing into human needs, people needs, and then second is it business wise viable, and then third one is whether it's technically feasible. So we can come with any innovations and there is nothing wrong about that or the ideas, but when it comes to doing it in a organization context and a product context and a business context, that three concept or three filter can be a filter for you to see whether this innovation it's become like a euphoria or it becomes like something that comes from out of this world or it's something that you can actually implement. And let's say that you want to create something extremely out of the box, but the investment that is needed is more than the budget of the company itself. And it is not about something that it will discourage you and say, like, obviously, I don't want to innovate because the company doesn't have budget to innovate. But that's actually not the mindset that I would like you to have. You can go inside the constraint part that we learned before that, oh, actually, now I know that the constraint is X budget. Let me see how I can adjust the idea itself to fit within this budget. And why we need to fit in this budget, I mean, there is another whole range of discussions because it will go with shareholder interest, how much is return of investment, and so on and so on. So by putting that three framework, then you can know whether it will be something that you can directly do or it will be something that is impossible to be done. But don't be discouraged. Sometimes it's not about getting things done directly now. So something that I always I will say, if I cannot do this innovation directly now, I will say that I will put the word yet. I cannot have $1 million directly in my hand to do this yet because of the business size that I am in right now. So when you are putting yourself as a yet, it gives you the optimism that one day when I reach this $1 million in hand, I will definitely be able to do it. So instead of discouraging you, it's actually uplifting you. Maybe today is not the moment, but that moment is yet to come. Okay, Samantha.
We have Samantha here. Samantha, you can
Yes.
shoot your question.
Hello. Hi. So
Hello,
my
Samantha.
question, how are you doing? My question is, can you discuss failure or setbacks that occur during the creative process and then how you deal with those setbacks?
Sure. It's okay. Okay, I love the questions today, Samantha. I love the questions from everyone, including from you, because all the questions are difficult. And difficult questions, again, shape the answer and the diamond. So the question is that what are the example of setbacks to my creative pursuit, whether in perhaps like an organizational context or might be in myself. So I would say that I think it comes back again to the previous questions. The setbacks is that um, it is we often be discouraged because we have come with ideas and we thought that is extremely innovative, and then the ideas itself become being rejected on face value, like directly on your face. It become like, no, not good, and you are so convinced that this idea will work, and but then it say, look, no, this is no go, like impossible to be done. So this often happen, and this will always happen, and this is not um, because the ideas are bad, but because coming back again to the first premise that people are naturally resistant to change, and let's accept that. And then second, it might be that we are not painting the picture clearly. So it often happens that we are painting the pictures ideally in our mind, but we're not thinking from the perspective of the stakeholders that we want to deal with. So it's ideal in our mind, but it cannot be directly understood by the person that need to hear that. So let's say that, for example, I come with the solutions. Oh, I need to change the class structure from currently, let's say, the class structure as you see is all sitting into circle, but tomorrow I'm going to change the table to become heart shaped instead of circle. And the people were like, aha, like where does it come from? So, but when you're trying to explain of what actually coming from my research and the thought process, and this is the ideas, this is the benefit, this might be the risk, this is the cost implications, but the benefit will outweigh the cost implications, then you know that there is a way to get that idea moving. So I would say that usually the setbacks that comes to us is the rejection itself. It's not only fear of rejection, but the rejection itself. But don't think that the rejection is something to discourage you, but it's something to shape you. Because you can come back again with a different way of explaining the same ideas, just using a different type of perspective, then you can actually face that rejection. So don't let the rejection become your setbacks, but make the rejection as a way to shape your diamond.
Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Thank you so much, Samantha, for the question.
Okay, so we actually have Jack Seda on the
Okay,
stage.
Jack,
He will join us.
shoot away.
Hi, are you able to
Hello,
hear
Jack.
me? Am I
Yes,
Yeah.
audible?
we are.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So my question would be regarding how you how you get back uh, creativity you lost due to
Mm,
the environment you were brought up in, or
mm,
the environment you are a part of, where creativity is sort of stifled. How exactly do you
mm.
get back to a point where you're able to, you know, get back the creativity and be able to think creatively again without necessarily focusing on the status quo, so to speak?
Sure. Thank you. Jack, it's a very good question, and I would like to reflect on my own experience. So, I came from, prior to joining a university, I came from startup. So, in a startup, multiple startup within, I think like how many years? 7 years before I joined Monash. And all the startups, it's like all about creativity because you have an idea, you do it now. Like you're just being responsible for the idea, just do it. And the reason is because we don't really have a structure. So there is no structure of getting the ideas being vetted in a way. You got an idea, just do it. So, but when I came to university, and the university that I work for, Monash, even though it's new in Indonesia, but it's not a new entity. It comes from wealth of experience of more than 50 years of experience back in Australia. So certainly, they have a set of regulations on doing things, as simple as how to recruit a candidate, for example. So when I came, it was a shock. This is an honest to say an experience because I feel like, oh my god, they're an SOP for everything. When I was in startup, there's not even an SOP to do payment. So, and here there's multiple SOPs, and how would I am able to innovate and how I'm able to do things when everything is already set in stone? So, but that was the beginning of my story 3 years ago. What I see it now, it's so different. And I say that certainly we need to have SOP because SOP serve as a guide. For me, it's like a guide trails that it becomes the constraint of the creativity, but I don't see it as a way to shut off the creativity itself or make us unable to do anything. It's basically by knowing that, oh, to do an improper interview, you need a panel of a minimum 3 people. So not an even number, but odd number. And you need to have an equal balance between male and female. So there is no gender bias. And it's actually something that, oh, to do a proper process of interview is actually really beneficial. But it doesn't mean that I cannot improve my interview process because I can get creative of the questions that I ask to the candidates. I can get creative of how I want to find the candidates. I can get creative of the way the interview wants to be conducted, maybe not only a one-way question, but I can also ask them to present something. And then, but I also can measure if I'm going to recruit a candidate, what is the time? Like, because there are some processes that needs to be done in Mona system. So I think it starts from the change of mindset itself. We are working in organizations, that's for sure, and every organizations will have their own state of play, their own game plan, and start to see that instead of a way that it constricts ourselves, but it provides a clear um, it provides for me, it provides a, a clear hand holding way that, oh, this is actually the way to do it, and then seek how to improve things to make it more efficient by not violating the SOP itself. So for me, like coming back to the interview, I will not violate that. Um, you need to have a gender balance because now I understand why the gender balance interview panel is set in place. But instead, I'm innovating in a different way, and now I understand. Now I enjoying the process. The fact that um, Monash is a very well structured organization. So just by thinking in a different way, I think um, you can start to see that the creativity that you may want to make in a different way as well. So that will be my answer, Jack.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you for the question.
Thank you so much, Jack. And thank you so much, Tantia, for answering. So we actually have a lot of people raising their hands.
Oh, so good.
Jihad is
I
here.
like that.
Just
Sure.
okay, Jihad, you can start asking the question.
Okay, first of all, thank you very much for the interesting presentation. I enjoyed my time. And I have one question. I hope that you could answer me. What is your advice for someone who always get easily distracted, and whenever he has to start a new project or anything, he always end up procrastinating or just like doing things not like he used to plan, and who is like easily get bored whenever he starts something new. I really feel like I want to know the answer because I'm facing this problem a lot. So we'll be happy if you share with me ideas or tips. Thank you very much.
Yes. Sure. Sure. So thank you very much for the question. As what I said before, perfectionism is an enemy of creativity and is an enemy of innovations, because once you think that you want to do it in extremely perfect way, then there is no such thing as perfections directly on the go, and then it makes you feel like you're losing the entire confidence itself. So practical way, what I do is that I put a timeline and being disciplined to the timeline. So uh, instead of saying that, oh, I want to get it extremely perfect, I would like to do it. I give myself a 7 day to think about this issue and to come with this certain set of solutions. Let's say, or certain set of outcome. Let's say within 7 weeks, I want to come with a framework how to do this thing. Like, for example, I want to come with a framework how to do the right interview process. I give myself 7 days. So so you work within that 7 days, and you pour all of your energy within that constraint of time, instead of putting yourself into an extremely not bounded time, especially for those who are not working for institutions or corporate. It becomes really hard to give yourself a time discipline, because if it is incorporate, obviously somebody will be breathing on your neck. Your boss will say like, where is it, where's the project? But when you're working with yourself, nobody's breathing down to your neck, and it becomes that how you govern yourself. So I would say that having that timeline, and also the next thing is also to provide like a chunk of things, a milestone. So let's say that you want to come with a new app, and understanding that within 1 week I want to come with the uh, value proposition, let's say. Second week I want to test with to the market, and third week I want to come with wireframe. Fourth week I want to have a Facebook test, and fifth week I want to have the product finished. So by having like a set of, you break down that big projects into a set small timelines and small goals, it will help you to manage your own confidence. Because if you think directly, I want to have an app, oh, but I want to make it perfect. Oh, I'll just wait for until I have the epiphany how to make this app. So you don't put yourself into a rigor. You don't put yourself into self-discipline. You don't self-govern yourself, and that's where the steam will lose easily. But when you have that smaller chunk, you keep yourself excited, and then you keep the steam blowing from the inside. And I think the last one might be, it will be helpful to have an accountability partner. And the same like why everyone that going on the diet, for example, will have an accountability partner, because there will be someone else outside you that helps to remind you, because those people will keep you in your toes and will keep you disciplined as well.
Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome. Nabila, 10 minutes left, I
Okay,
think.
okay. Thank
Let's
you,
shoot more
Jihan, for
questions.
answering. We have
Yes.
Kadina here.
Okay, sure.
Okay, Kadina, you can shoot the question.
Hi, Tantia. Hi,
Hi.
Nabila. So first of
Hello.
all, I would like to thank you, Tantia, for an amazing presentation, an amazing session. So basically, I feel excited when I see people do what I can't normally do. If I thought I was put in this position that you're right now, answering all these questions, I'm sure my heart would be pounding, would be pounding seriously. So I'm I think I like your proposal, and now you've managed all of us. So you may have touched a little bit of the questions I wanted to ask by the ones that Jack and the last Gerhard, right, asked. So basically, I personally feel like a creative person on a normal day, yeah. But
Mm,
sometimes I'm very dull, yeah. So when I get these ideas, I do create my design plan and all that. But I realize that once I face a little challenge, I just abandon it. So I just call it my start and
mm,
abandon syndrome. So for
mm,
the past 4 or 5 years, I can't count the number of projects that I've personally abandoned. If I'm working with
mm,
somebody, just like you tried to explain, if I'm working with somebody, I will always meet the deadline, but I don't know how to work with myself.
mm,
You understand? So if you give me a task now and say, okay, get in now, deliver this thing in the next 2 hours, I'll go beyond my ability to make sure it's delivered. But
mm,
if I'm to tell myself that okay, you need to deliver this for yourself in the next maybe 1 month, immediately I get stuck or I find any little challenge, I just
mm,
abandon it or I just get
mm.
tired. So I don't know if there is maybe a little advice. I don't know if there's any if there's maybe motivation or something you can just say that can help me deal with
Yeah,
that.
sure. I mean, it's a very interesting question, Garina. Thank you very much. I would like to share a different perspective, and this is what I do so to make myself excited also. I started 2023. I have notes on my um, notes app, and I call the list. The list is called OG list. So OG stands for original gangster. I'm so proud of this thing. It's a very American slang. In my OG list, I write down so it's different from usually people have bucket lists or resolution in 2023, and resolution doesn't work for me because it's so vague, um, and it's like not defined. But by having a OG list, which basically comes from a principle of OKR, in an industry, but I make it for my personal needs. I put my OG list. So, for example, what I put on my OG list is a target that I want to achieve myself. Like, for example, I put the target there. I want to do archery for 12 meters. That was last year. This year, my OG list it's gone up from 12 meters to 18 meters, and um, and then I put that on my OG list last year is that I want to start backpacking because I'm a chronic overpacker, but I want to be able to do backpacking, and I want to do my first road tripping because I'm a new driver. I could not drive the year before, so as a new driver, I want to test my driving skill. But I also put there some not only the fun projects, but I also put like I want to do how many coaching session per month and how many clients that I want to have. So by having that OG list, and then I read through the OG list every day, and I'm actually able to tackle like I don't know how many things on my OG list last year, might be like 20 plus, and I just make it become like a game to myself. Like this is a personal race against myself, and why I'm doing that, it's because there is a background for me doing all of that. For example, I want to rediscover myself. I mean, becoming a single mom is a new identity that comes late after in the life. So I want to rediscover myself. So I do all the things in the OG list. So I think like having that OG list or whatever versions that you want to have for yourself, it helps because it gives an accountability to yourself, and that becomes a fun uh, tick box thing, check box, because I complete my first backpacking. I go for archery. Now I can do we call it freestyle flower painting, and so on. So make that list as something that is fun for you to achieve. But the most important thing philosophically is also to find um, the real reason of why you are doing what you are doing. So um, without understanding the motivation itself, then all of that become just an activity for the sake of doing the activity. So you're becoming doing the project for the sake of starting the project, instead of understanding what is the bigger purpose that you want, that make you or drive you to do this. So I think before might be that what steps that you want to add there, Gadina, is that understanding of why is this project important for you, and how important it is for you to finish that. Might be that what you're doing before is not important enough, and um, so find that reason, um, because once you find the reason, you'll find a way, and you will be the one who put the leash on yourself, because you know it is extremely important for you. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so for because the time's constraint, we can have another people on the stage now. But I hope all the question was giving the a good insightful things that they I'm sorry. Okay, for now I like to turn the floor for we will show you a video about GCF, a little bit video before we close the session. So yeah.
Hello and welcome to the Global Citizenship Foundation. We are delighted to briefly introduce the Global Citizenship Foundation to you. The Global Citizenship Foundation is one of the world's pioneering not-for-profit organizations, with a mandate to advance active global citizenship and global citizenship education, also known as GCED. As one of the leading specialist organizations, we are focused on achieving the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 4.7 towards fostering education for global citizenship and sustainable development. In our efforts to contribute to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, we at the Global Citizenship Foundation are committed to transforming education and workplaces for human and planetary flourishing by developing global programs and initiatives to build the capacity of education leaders, educators, and youth in the 6 key areas of focus. That is, global citizenship education, education for sustainable development, social-emotional learning, education for anti-racism and intercultural understanding, Holocaust and genocide education, and peace and human rights education. The Foundation provides strategic support to individuals, institutions, and organizations to help achieve our mandate in line with Education 2030, as envisioned by the United Nations. Together, we can make a difference in the world by promoting active global citizenship and fostering education for sustainable development. Thank you for joining us on this journey towards shaping global leadership for a more inclusive and sustainable future for all. Join the Global Citizenship Foundation today and be a part of this transformative movement towards a better tomorrow.
Okay, so that's it for the video. As we near the end of our session, I'd like to extend my sincere gratitude to Ms. Tantia Dian for sharing their expertise with us today. Your insight have really sparked our imagination and challenged us to think innovatively about the future if we meet for a problem in the future. So before we conclude, Ms. Tantia
Nabila,
Dian, do you have a
yeah,
final
can I
thought?
give one more? Yes, so final thought I haven't
Sure.
mentioned is that I think of something that I haven't mentioned, and it might actually conclude it nicely, is that when life presents you an opportunity, take it by the horn. So if you feel like you don't know, don't say you don't know, but you say you don't know it yet. And it's the same when I was being presented with this opportunity to share. I never make any presentation in creativity and solution, but I said I don't know the concept, but I don't know it yet, and let me find out. So every time you face an opportunity, don't say no, say yes.
Okay, Miss Tantia, that's amazing. Final thought. Thank you to Miss Tantia and to all our participants for engagement and enthusiasm throughout today's session. Remember that the journey to discovering solution through creative thinking is ongoing, and I encourage each of you to continue exploring your ideas and pushing the boundaries of innovation. So until the next time, stay curious and keep dreaming big. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you so much.
Stay connected.
Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much, Miss Tantia.